do that. And now let's get attendance. All righty. So, students. All right. Good, ladies and gentlemen. Good. All right. The code you're looking for in joinpd.com is this one, ladies and gentlemen. BHJCLI. Okay. All right. Welcome to Friday, ladies and gentlemen. We have two things that we have to get done today. You have an activity that you're going to be doing in the back of the lab. I'll explain it, and I'll show you where you can find it in just a couple of minutes. And then you have a lab safety quiz that you are going to have to get through today. Okay? Now, the lab safety quiz you could do even at home. The lab safety quiz, you could take it as many times as you need to. If you don't score 100 on it, you can go back into the highest score that you had, the last one, obviously, and you can make corrections to the questions you got wrong, and you can resubmit it, okay? Real quickly, a couple things about lab safety just in here. Most of lab safety is common sense. You guys are mostly juniors, seniors, some sophomores. You should know pretty much about lab safety. Again, if you read a question and it says, which of the following is something you should not do in the lab? And it's read directions, follow instructions, follow the procedure, and jump up and down on a lab station. I think you should be able to answer that one fairly easily. The one thing I will warn you about when you are taking a lab safety quiz is please read all four choices, because sometimes you'll come to what you think is a correct answer, but then at the bottom there will be all of the above, and it might be a better choice, okay? So that is one of the things, okay? In this room, there is a number of things for safety equipment. In the front of the room, in the back of the room, there are what are called fume hoods. We will use these if we're going to have a lab where we are going to create a lot of ugly vapors, things like that, smelly stuff, and we have a few of those labs this year, ladies and gentlemen, okay? We also have a fire extinguisher in the front of the room. I have never had to use one of these. I've come close a couple times with almost burning my ceiling tiles, but we haven't had to use one, okay? But we do have a fire extinguisher. Over on the wall over here is a safety shower, and Kevin and Sam are in a bad seat right now because I'm going to turn this on. No, I'm kidding. No, because if I do, they're going to get drenched, and you're probably going to get wet too because it's going to bounce that far. Point being, if we pull this handle right now, it will turn on and it will start flowing water all over the place. There's not a special switch or something that I have to, it's ready to go. This is an eye wash station and this is an eye wash station. Now, last year was the first year in 27 years that I had to use an eye wash station with a student. They were putting a cap back on a bottle of flavoring for food. It bounced up somehow and hit him in the eye. I still have no idea how it did it. Hit him in the eye, wasn't wearing his safety goggles, and it started to burn. So brought him over here, put his head down here, turned this on, and he stood there for 10 minutes. Well, I held his head right like this so he couldn't go anywhere. Okay?
Why?
Because we had to get the flavoring out of his eyes. Okay?
How did he get it in there?
I don't know. I honestly don't. All he was doing is putting a cap on it, and somehow it bounced up and hit him in the eye. So my guess is somehow a friend of his or something maybe came up and hit him on the elbow, and it bounced up, and whatever. First time ever, 27 years. Okay? But these things are on and ready to go too. Okay? There is a fire blanket on the wall. Something to think about, ladies and gentlemen. If you would rather be smothered by a fire blanket than drowned under a shower if you catch on fire, you may want to let me know, because I think that in the moment you might not make the right decision if you were trying to decide between the two. Okay? So if you want to let me know ahead of time, I'll try to honor your request of either throwing the blanket on top of you and beating you with the fire blanket, or dragging you over to the safety shower and trying to put the fire out with the shower. You're going for the shower? Okay.
I don't want you to like beat me.
Okay. All right. That's fair enough. That's fair enough. By the way, too, if one of the big things is, if an accident happens, please try to remain calm. If you catch your hair on fire and you go running down the hallway, you've made two bad decisions. One, you caught your hair on fire. And two, you think I'm fast enough to catch you when you're running down the hallway. Okay? Probably the best I can do is call ahead to Mr. Fisk and ask him to tackle you as you go by his room. Okay? So please don't do that. Not to mention the fact that the faster you run, the more oxygen gets to the hair, the bigger the flames get. Okay? So just consider those things. All right? There's a shutoff over on the wall over there. If our Bunsen burners start going crazy for the gas in the room, there's a shutoff in the back for the electricity in the room if we were to ever need that for some reason. So, questions? Again, if you're going to do a lab, know what you're going to do, know how to use the equipment, and if you don't know, ask questions. Okay? Don't start labs until you're told to do so, and do only what you're told. Don't be like, well, he didn't say we could mix these two together, but I want to see what happens. Okay, there's probably a reason I didn't tell you to mix those two together. 9 times out of 10, nothing's going to happen. Okay? Simply nothing will happen. But sometimes, maybe something you don't want to happen will happen. Okay? So you got to get your safety quiz done today. And if you don't, you can do it over the weekend. You can do it in home base or wherever during the day. Okay? I will give you a few days to get that done. All right, questions? All right, so I do have some questions for you off of the topic that we talked about yesterday, which was our sig figs. So let's take a look at these, ladies and gentlemen. So here's our first question, and I'd like you to type in a number that has 3 sig figs in it ending in the hundredths place. So a number that has 3 sig figs that ends in the hundredths place. So please type that into your Pear Deck right now, please. All right, so when I look at these numbers, ladies and gentlemen, most of you are getting them correct. There was 1 or 2 that I saw you start typing that I may want to ask. Again, your names are not on these, so don't worry about it. This one right here, 0.013. That does end in the hundredths place, but what's wrong with it? Yes, the 0 at the beginning does not count as a sig fig. So in this case, this would end in the hundredths place, but this would only be 2 sig figs. So we need a number between 1.00 and 9.99. That's what we need for this one, ladies and gentlemen. Okay? That's what we need for this one. All right? So again, a number like 7.89, something like that. Okay? Write a number with 3 sig figs that has a digit in the 1,000s place. So it has to have a digit in the 1,000s place. So it has to be 1,000 and something. Okay? Now be careful. If I were you, I would write a number in the thousands place, and then I would look at it and say, how many sig figs do I have? If you don't have 3 sig figs, you need to somehow make it so that there is 3 sig figs. And if you have 4 sig figs, you need to make it so that it only has 3. So the key to doing this question is, what has to be in the ones place in this question, ladies and gentlemen? A 0. So your number can be anywhere from 1,110 up to 9,990. But it has to end with a 0, ladies and gentlemen, because otherwise that last digit is what? is counted as a sig fig. So you can have any digits you want in these three spots. 1 through 9, you could... Careful. You can't end with 0, 0 either, could you? Or you can't end with 3 zeros, because zeros at the end are not going to be significant. However, if you put a decimal in, will that make the 0 significant? Yeah, but then you'll have 4. So you can't do that. Okay? So it has to be 3 digits. Now, this digit could be a 0, but these two cannot. Okay? These two cannot. Okay? Write a number that ends with zeros and has zeros in the middle, and it has 4 sig figs. There are a lot of ways of doing this, but it has to have a 0 in the middle, a 0 at the end, and has 4 sig figs. Now, you can have multiple zeros if you want, but there have to be a 0 in the middle, has to be a 0 at the end. All right, somebody give me what they wrote down. Give me a number. Don't make me call on you. Come on, someone give me a number. If you're wrong and you die from it, I will never make you answer another question in class again. 12,030. Absolutely perfect. 0 in the middle, 0 at the end, 4 sig figs. The last 0 doesn't count as a sig fig, but it does have a 0 at the end, right? Could someone give me a number that has this, but the 0 at the end is significant?
580 0.0.
Okay. I agree this number has 4 sig figs. I agree it has zeros at the end, but what is missing? Okay. So, again, we could change this slightly to what? Well, 508.0 would work, okay? So again, making this a little bit more complicated, a little bit harder, but this number would work. Anybody else have one? Come on, give me one more. Someone else. 19 of you answered the question, so you had to write something down. Give me something.
1.020.
Very good, 1.020, okay? There are a lot of ways to write this down, and these are the kind of questions that if I put on a test, I'm not only testing if you understand the places, sig figs, and where zeros go, okay? So rather than just give you a number and look at it and say, how many sig figs in this? This is a little bit more harder to do, if you will. I don't know if that's the right way of saying that, but that's what I said. All right, good. All right. So again, any type of number like these, ladies and gentlemen, would be good. Now, again, there's one other, and I think the first person gave it to us, but you could also do something like this. This has zeros at the beginning. This has zeros zeros in the middle, zeros at the end, and only 4 sig figs because the zeros at the end are not significant, right? Okay, so again, just another way of doing it. Very good, very good, very good. All right. Next, round this number to the 10th place. Round this number to the 10th place. Now, there is only one correct answer for this, ladies and gentlemen. That's it, one correct answer. So round this number to the 10th place. Theodore, what'd you get?
30.1.
Nope, not 30.1.
Oh, 30.3.
Very good. 30.3. The 9 says to move that 2 up to the next higher number. So it becomes 30.3 rounded to the 10th place. Questions? How many sig figs in this number? 3. So again, we could say round to the tens place, so we could say round to 3 sig figs. Either way, you would get this same number, correct? Good. Okay. Round this number to 3 sig figs. Round this number to 3 sig figs. Only one correct answer again, ladies and gentlemen. Only one correct answer. All right, let's see if Finley can give us the correct answer.
569.
That? Okay, I want to be your banker, Finley. Because you are correct. This is rounded to 3 sig figs. But this number was 5,694, right? You wrote,
0.
thank you. Yep, you got to put that 0 at the end because otherwise it's not that you don't have 3 sig figs here, but you change the place value from the 5 being in the thousands to being in the hundreds. So we need that 0 at the end. Very good. Very good. Questions, ladies and gentlemen? Nope. All right, good. All right, then we are done with this, ladies and gentlemen. All right, go into Canvas. Go into the classroom. And go into modules. And in there you will find the Precision Lab. Please open up the Precision Lab. And when you do, it should look like this, ladies and gentlemen. So please open up the Precision Lab, and that's what we're going to get started on in just a few minutes. Now, again, when you are done with your Precision Lab today, in Canvas is the safety quiz. Right up here, okay? You can click on it. It is 15 multiple choice questions. You answer them. If you don't get them all right, it'll tell you you got 14 or 13 out of 15. It'll let you go back into it, and it'll let you correct the ones you got wrong, and you need to get that done, okay? You need to get that done. Questions? All right, so let's go back to our Precision Lab, okay? The other day we talked about taking measurements and we kind of showed it to you. Today we're going to practice it. So in the back of the room, ladies and gentlemen, there are 3 stations set up. The 3 stations on this side of the room over here are the exact same as this side of the room over here. So it doesn't matter if you're working on that side or you're working on this side. It does not matter at all. And each side is set up so that two groups could work on each side of the station, and I will show you that in a minute. You are going to move from station to station, reading the measurements with different instruments at each station. Okay? Concentrate on precision. What place does the instrument read to? Report all answers to one place beyond the place the instrument reads to when you estimate the last place. The exception, digital instruments, which are at the first station on each side. Those stations, you are just going to read exactly what's on the instrument when you go back there. No more, no less. Questions? Okay. By the way, here are the places for you. Okay? And again, as I've told you before, if you do not want to write out tenths, you can simply do this. If you do not want to write out the word hundredths, you can do this. So instead of the word, if you want to write out the places, you can use these numbers, and I will put a few more up here while you are working in the back in case you want to know them. Okay? All right. So the purpose of the lab, you get 1 point for doing this, ladies and gentlemen. Copying this purpose down. To determine the precision of the instrument and make a proper measurement. That is the purpose of today's lab. To determine the precision of the instrument and make a proper measurement. That means that once you know the precision, you make a measurement that goes one place beyond the precision of the instrument. Does anyone have any questions on what that means? Okay. Was that already in there for you?
Mm-hmm.
Dang it.
Do I still get the point?
No, I'm taking it away just from you, Jules, for asking. Actually, I'm going to give it to Abby because she was honest and told me that was already in there.
I told you too.
What?
I nodded my head.
Sorry, I didn't hear you nod your head. Okay. All right, so let's move on. All right, so here's what happens. When you get to a station, there are 3 instruments at the station. Now, the instruments might be the same, and they are the exact same instruments at station 1 in all 3. They are the exact same instruments in station 3. Station 2, though, there are 2 different instruments, and they are written on the piece of paper that tells you what to do at each station. So you are going to write down what the instrument name is. You are going to write down what place the instrument reads to when you look at the markings on it. Now, when you write down the place it reads to, the place it reports to should be what? What's that?
The place beyond.
Yes. So if you're telling me the instrument reads to the tenths, the place it reports to should be the hundredths. Now, the important thing is then when you take the actual measurement and you put a unit here, make sure that if you're telling me this is supposed to be to the hundredths, this measurement better be to the hundredths. Even if it ends with 0.70, that's to the hundredths place. And remember, report a unit with a number because otherwise it's not a measurement. So you have 9 things to do. Now again, ladies and gentlemen, station 1 is here on both sides. What instruments are here? What are these? Come on. Balances. All 3 are balances. Under instrument right now, you could type in balance for all 3. There are 3 objects here. They are all the same object, ladies and gentlemen. The reason there are 3 of them is so that a couple of groups could work here at the same time. One grab one of these, one grab the other. Take the measurement with all 3 instruments. Okay? Now again, what kind of displays are these? Okay, but these are not those old-fashioned, so what kind? These are all digital displays. Well, what is the one thing about a digital display? Go ahead, one more. Go ahead. Okay, but what don't you do with a digital display that we do with others?
Go one place beyond.
We don't go one place beyond. We just write down what we see. Okay? We just write down what we see. And these 3 instruments all have a different precision. So when you put this object on one, you write down the number. When you put the object on another, you're going to write down the number. This is the one time where the place it reads to and the place it reports to will be the same. Will be the same. Okay? That is the only station where that will happen. Station 2, ladies and gentlemen, you have 3 instruments used to find volume. There is a glass graduated cylinder, there is a plastic graduated cylinder, and there is what is called a volumetric flask. This, ladies and gentlemen, is the volumetric flask. This, ladies and gentlemen, is used to measure a very specific amount of something. And on here it tells you what the only line on this instrument is measuring. So that is the place that this instrument is reading to. Then think about it. If it's reading to that place, what place can you report an answer to? And then you have to do your best to estimate how much you think is in here. I am not grading you on how much you think is in here. Okay? But it better be to the right place according to the instrument. Make sense? Now, I will tell you, all 3 of these here have a different amount of precision. So when you come here, you need to look at the lines. Is it reading in the tens place? Is it reading in the ones place? Is it reading in the tenths place? You need to figure that out and then make an appropriate measurement. Again, if the lines are really close, and you're saying it's right at this line, and I need to get to the tenths place, let's say, there's nothing wrong with putting 32.0. That is to the tenths place. You are allowed to estimate the tens place. Someone else may do 32.1. That is fine. Okay? Please remember to put a unit on. The last station is a little bit more difficult because these are 3 meter sticks. So we are measuring in meters with each of these. Now, this one has absolutely no markings on it other than the 1 meter that it is telling you that that's the length of this. It's kind of like that volumetric flask there. And what you are going to measure at this station is the width of a box top. So they are all marked. Okay? Then you are going to take and you are going to use this instrument, which does have some markings, again for 1 meter. So this is marked out in a smaller portion than 1 meter. The hard one is this one, ladies and gentlemen, because it's actually marked out in centimeters. This whole thing is 1 meter, but 100 centimeters equals 1 meter, correct? But this is not 10 meters. This is what of a meter? Tenths. So even though it says 10, this is actually the tenths. Okay? Then you have some marks that are smaller than that. And if you have every place, what's smaller than a tenth? 100. Then you ask yourself, all right, between, say, 0.11 and 0.12, can you find marks? And if you can, what place are they reading? So again, remember, you can go one place beyond the precision of the instrument that you are using. Now, you have to get all 3 stations done, and then you have 2 or 3 questions that you will answer. By the way, when you are done with these, please leave them on one side of the table so that people know which ones they need to use to make the measurements. Okay? I don't care which station you begin with, but if you're going to go to station 3, make sure you're putting it in station 3 on here. If you're going to begin at the middle station, make sure you're putting it on station 2. Does that make sense? Okay, that's a solid no response from an entire class. Okay, thank you. At least I got a thumbs up. Here are your questions. What determines the precision in any instrument used to make a measurement? So when you look at these instruments, what determines the precision? You will have done it 9 times. Why is it important to look at different graduated cylinders, kind of like the middle station, before choosing the one to use in a lab? Why would you look at different ones before choosing one? Now, here's what I will tell you. I have an idea of an answer here, but if you give me a reasonable answer, I will give you credit for it. In other words, if you use sound scientific reasoning and put down an answer, even if it wasn't exactly what I was looking for, I will give you credit for it. Then the last thing you have to do before you turn this in today is you have to go back and you have to read the purpose and match the conclusion to your purpose. If you collected data, reference your data to support or disprove the concept of the purpose. What was our purpose again?
To determine the precision of an instrument and make a proper measurement.
Okay, so in here what you're going to talk about is what determines the precision of the instrument. The precision of the instrument is determined by something. What on the instrument determines its precision? Okay? And then, what was the second part of that? The purpose again, Ray?
Make a proper measurement.
So, what determines the precision of the instrument? This about the instrument determines that. And then when we use the balances, we had one measurement that was this, one that was this, and one that was this, because all 3 had a different amount of precision. Put the actual numbers in here. Some actual numbers to prove what you're saying. Questions? Now, if you have questions during the lab, raise your hand, call me over. I will be happy to come over and help you. Okay. There are 21 of you in here. What I want you to do is get a partner and work with a partner. You and your partner go to the same side of the lab station, you do the lab. But because we have an odd number in here, we can have one group of 3 people. Okay? One group of 3 people. That group of 3 people will begin at this station over here. This is the only one I'm telling people where you have to begin, and I only want to do this because I don't want 3 groups of 3 people. I only want one. So the one group of 3 people will start out at this station right here. They will be the only ones at this station to begin with. After that, you can move to wherever you need to. Okay? But if you're the group of 3, please begin here. Questions? Okay, I should ask you the last question that I always ask. Do you want me to pick your partners, or do you want to pick your partners? This is a first ever. Normally everybody's like, you pick them. No, they're not. They're like, we want to pick them. Do you want to pick your partners? Finley's shaking her head. Okay, we'll go with that then. Then get with your partners. Go get to work. Let's go. You got 2 things to get done today. You got 47 minutes, 48 minutes to get them done.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm not going to
All right. Ready? Group you want to work with? Give me the numbers between 0 and 1. Okay, that's 1. That's a possession. Zero. Hey, please look up here for a second. This is what it should look like when you're filling it in. Instrument, balance. Place it reads to, 0.01. Place your report to, 0.01 with the balance because they are digital, and then your measurement, 62.05 or whatever it is. Okay? So that's what you should put down for each one of these things. Okay? Remember, the place it reads to, or its precision, and the place you report to on station 2 and 3 are not the same. They're only the same at station 1 here. Okay? Only because this object, you're right, they're using sugar or salt.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, which one do you prefer?
So that's the
Now here, how we can say this here. So, this was that's right. Yeah, I'm afraid of that spam. Did it log you out? Did it actually let you make a put to someone? Okay, because now it's timed out. If you're back in, I will take care of it for you. Okay, so do you guys have the questions answered? You have the conclusion done? Okay, work on your life safety. Took a bunch of times to get through it, but I've never had anybody not get through it. Right? Because here's what's going to happen. You're going to get the ones that you got wrong. It's going to show you the one that was wrong. Alicia, what's your last name again? I'm sorry.
Rodriguez.
Okay. Hang on. Let's see. Yeah, and just the bathroom?
Yeah.
Okay, go.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Yes, sure. You got 100? Also, guys, remember you got to go back in this in the assignment. Okay? You have to go back into the assignment in Canvas. There's a button that says I can turn in or submit or something, and then you have to actually hit a button after that. Okay? Actually, can you grab it? Oh, you, never mind. Bathroom? Go. Remind me when you get back to your pass.
Yeah. Okay, Mr. Brown, I just. Does it?
Around. Run real fast.
Okay.
No, that's insubordination.
That's fine.
That's what the teacher tells you. Hey, how we doing? Okay, we need to get to the right. Now, because we're using a different one on all three, your numbers may be slightly different. We're going to be different anyway. I would use this.
Why should you?
I guarantee you. Thank you. Who else went and used the bathroom that I wrote them a pass for? Oh, me. It was me. Okay, thank you. I need to end it.
Like you wouldn't.
Right? No. Amount of substance means that it's going to be counted. Okay. Like if you had how many eggs there were in something. That is amount of substance. Yes. The volume would be millions. Yeah. I don't know. No. Because you're just telling me what precision is. When you look at the instrument, what material is precision? What? So, put little marks on it. By how it's marked out. Because the marks literally determine what place you're moving. This mark is 10, this mark is 20, this mark is 30, right? This mark is 21, 22, 23. When you look at the marks on something, that's what determines the precision. When you say the precision is determined by what place you're into, you're telling me that is the same thing. That is precision. What determines that? It's marks on it. About 7 minutes, 6 minutes.
Really?
What do you guys think? All of them? How much money is yours today? So these are the-
I was just
Between 60 and
Oh.
70. Well, what's between 60 and 70?
That's the same thing. Why is that?
Real.
Oh,
That was my okay. Go back to this.
I don't know. I guess I'm not.
And my computer's at 2%. Yeah. No, I don't know. Yes. It's on the iPad. Every
No, I don't.
Mine didn't make sense. I just what I really know is that like, well, you use it. Like, I can see how like I don't know. Like I don't know. Like
Hey, who's lining up by my door? Jules? Why are you lining up by my door? You hate me that much that you want to get out of my class, Jules?
Yeah.
What are you looking at?
Oh,
Dr. Mock?
yeah.
Oh. Right. The only thing on the balance ones, Ray, those should be in the
That's how.
grams, not kilograms.
Oh, grams.
And here, hundreds. This number 65 is not to the tens place.
Oh, so it'd be like 65 point.
No, tens, 10, not tenths.
Oh,
So it should be like 40, 50, 60, 70.
oh,
Okay.
for
For the one that is reading in the tens place, your number is 65. That's a number in the ones place. So it should be 60, 70, one of those. Yes.
okay.
Wait, did you put 2 zeros or 1? Take away, you got to take out the 5, right? Because now you're saying 650. Yes. That's reading to the tens place.
I'm not sure what the was.
Okay. But when you look at the graduated cylinder, what determines its precision? The what on it?
The lines on it.
The lines on it. So this is great, but all I want to know is the lines on it determine the precision.
I
Okay?
have to explain.
Well, that you are. You're answering the question. Your second one is fine.
And what about the
Conclusion?
is this the lines?
Yep. Change that. Yep. Yep. I think I told you guys it was yesterday, but it's not. It's today. I don't remember if I told you yesterday or today. Yellow. I don't know. I have not seen it yet. No. Okay. Bye. Yep.
I was like almost sitting down on the fucking head of the boat was coming. I was like,
You guys have
who's gonna get that shit? Not me. And then I just fucking
Morning.
and everyone was outside.
Good morning.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Every Friday they do something.
The ball. That shit. Choke at the start.
Yeah, no, that was crazy for 5 minutes.